Do not lose hope if you are feeling like a lake, a still lake, or a frozen lake. Try and think about it this way. With the four main elements, water, air, fire, and earth. If you can stay in tune with these four things, you will minimize those tsunamis, those droughts, and you can get yourself back into a natural flow, just like the ocean. My name is Marcel Hansen, and you're listening to Small Habits, Big Changes. Let's dive in. I spent about 5 hours this morning. It's a Sunday morning when I'm filming here, and just looking at my analytics, my metrics, seeing if I can see correlations, causations. There's a number of factors that I go over that include hydration and movement, nutrition and sleep. They also break down further into heart rate, resting heart rate variability, O2, glucose, blood glucose, and a number of others. So what I glean every time I do this, and it was really poignant. I just did a 3-month cap. So I went back and looked at the last 3 months of all of these metrics and was trying to ascertain whether or not there is a pattern that I can recognize, if there is a causation. Mind you, there's a lot of tracking that goes into this, but I can make it easier on you by just sharing with you what I found. And I'm pretty sure this is universal. And I'm going to come back to it in a minute. I'm just going to give some visuals of bodies of water. If you imagine like the ebb and flow of the ocean, if you've ever tried to go crabbing or needed to get a boat out at a certain time and you were watching the tides, it's pretty consistent. The tides go in, the tides go out, and there is a pretty smooth undulation that changes ever so slightly. It is dictated by the stars and influenced by the moon and the sun cycle. So they all work in synchronicity, very similar to our body systems. And so the ocean has that undulation of the tides coming and going. Then we go through a few different bodies of water. Maybe we get to like a lake where water is pretty still. It's a non-motorized lake. Some people paddling on there, but all non-motor. It's pretty still. It has a little bit of chops from someone having stand-up paddleboard or canoeing or kayaking. But if left alone, it is virtually still. It has very little movement to it relative to the ocean. Still movement, but relative to the ocean, very little. Then we have a frozen pond, frozen lake, has no movement visible on the surface. It's ice. If you were to throw a rock, let's say, into it and the ice were fairly thick, it would just bounce and roll, continue on its trajectory, wouldn't break it, wouldn't have any real effect, wouldn't have really any effect. As opposed to if you go back to the still lake, if you throw a rock in it, depending on its size, depending on the angle of which you throw it, will potentially make ripples, and quite a number of them. If you've ever tried to skip a rock, you could get it to skip 9, 10, 11 times, and they will ripple out of those touches before the rock dips down through the surface of the water. In the ocean, you can throw a rock out there. You might get a plunk. You might get a little splash, but basically the ocean's moving. You don't see it as much. It's absorbed more so it's less obvious. What I learned from my 3 months, the most recent 3 months assessment, is there's an ebb and flow to my statistics, my biometrics, and everyone has a certain degree of ebb and flow. What I notice is that I have a really great, what feels great week of recovery, deep sleep, restorative sleep. My HRV is high. I feel great. And then it sort of dips into a more strained mode where I'm continually working. I'm active. My HRV may drop a little. My heart rate, resting heart rate may come up a little. I may not sleep as deeply. I don't have a reason to if I'm not straining that much. My body doesn't have a need for extensive restorative sleep because I maintain pretty good sleep every day. So that ebb and flow, I still feel great in those times. My biometrics just show the ebb of that, and then the flow, and then the ebb. I feel a little different during it. I feel pretty jazzed when I've slept really well, and it gives me the energy to go out and push a little harder, which repeats that cycle, which keeps that kind of ebb and flow going. So some people are more sedentary sedentary. They're sitting around. They're not moving as much. They may not sleep as well. They don't get as much restorative sleep. They don't have as much activity throughout the day. So that ebb and flow kind of flatlines, if you will. It's not a natural state. And as you go out of the ebb and flow of the ocean into the stillness of a lake, while it sounds serene, the lake is beautiful. That's not where we want our circadian rhythm to be. It's not where we want our hormone balance to be. It's not where we want our emotions and our emotional regulation to be. While it sounds peaceful, it's actually deadening for us. We are meant to ebb and flow. We are meant to go through cycles of life as we are cycles of the month, as we are cycles of the week and of the day and of the hour. There are going to be more poignant times for you to exert energy. For some of you, it's going to be first thing in the morning. For some, it might be later in the afternoon. For some, maybe in the early evening. Everyone's a little different, but there's going to be times where you feel like a little more chill. Maybe that's early in the morning for some of you. Maybe that's afternoon for some of you. And maybe that's early evening for some other of you. Again, everyone's different, but our goal is not to make things still in permanence. It's just not ideal. And some people looking to get out of their ebb and flow because their ebb and flow is very dramatic and full of tsunamis and then droughts and tsunamis, like it's so tumultuous that they can't handle it. They're looking for serene. They're looking for flatline. They may turn to prescription drugs. Well, pharmaceuticals will give that to you. They take the edge off. They will flatten that ebb and flow. And if gone to an extreme, probably mixed with alcohol and a bunch of other things, other outlets, other vices, if you will, distractions, other numbing agents. If taken to the nth degree, it becomes more like a frozen lake. You can try and tap into that, and there's no rippling happening. There's no movement. There's no emotion. It's pretty flatlined. Probably some of you could picture someone who reminds you of a frozen lake right now. They're just not the funnest to be around. These people are tuned out. They're out of touch. They are probably in a lot of pain, and therefore they are numbing out and using these external devices and vices to help rid themselves of the pain. Unfortunately, when you do that, you're also ridding yourself of life. Life is meant to have ups and downs. It is meant to undulate, just like your colon, like your intestine. It is meant to move things along. But there is hope. Do not lose hope if you are feeling like a lake, a still lake, or a frozen lake. Try and think about it this way. With the four main elements, water, air, fire, and earth. If you can stay in tune with these four things, which have a lot to do with a stable table, it's just a different way of thinking about it, you will minimize those tsunamis, those droughts, and you can get yourself back into a natural flow, just like the ocean. It's very timed, it's very dependable, it's consistent. It does have change in it. It does offer some variety. There's lots going on there, but the foundation of our planet relies on this natural ebb and flow. And our being, our physical being, and that lends itself to our emotional, financial, physical, psychological being, depends on that ebb and flow for its vitality. So 4 elements: water, air, fire, earth. Think of water as hydration. We're not just talking about water like the oceans and the lakes, but 60, 70, 80% of the planet, water. Our bodies, water. Same. Stay hydrated. Air's what we're breathing, right? Think of air as your breath. The air that we breathe keeps so many things alive in nature. Air that we breathe, same, keeps us alive. Focus on your breath. Some do it during prayer. Some do it during meditation. If you're lucky, you can train yourself to do it all the time. Breathe in through your nose, out through your mouth. Air. So we've handled water, air, fire. Okay. What is the sun? It's like a big ball of fire. Everything that grows on the planet, growth comes from that light. Same with us. We need that light, okay? We need to see the sunlight. This controls our circadian rhythm. First thing in the morning, that early light, the universe gives it to us. The planet and earth gives it to us free. It is not going to damage you in any way. I'm not saying look right at the sun. I'm saying get out, get your skin. Get your skin out in the sun. First thing in the morning, that first hour and a half, we have a different color of light coming off. We have light receptors that receive that. It kicks off entire cascade of our circadian rhythm, of how we sleep. It controls our hormones. It has huge influence on a number of factors, almost everything that goes on in our body. Light, fire, the fireball of the sun. Consider that being like sunlight. We need that heat. We need that warmth. We need that light. Okay. So we've got water, air, fire. Last is earth. It's a big one. A lot of you guys are missing it, but obviously you don't have to understand the electromagnetic field. It would help. It would be helpful if you did, but we're electric, the same as the earth is. Electricity. We're electric. Okay. We have an electrical system, not just in our house, but in our body. Synapses going off. It's electric. Woogie woogie. So in the earth element, we want to be earthing. We want to be grounding, walking on the earth with our bare feet, not rubber shoes, not any shoes. Well, there's some barefoot technology shoes that are actually have a grounding cork in them. Different story, grounding plug. Walking on the beach, walking through the woods, wherever you can safely do so, walking even on pavement if it's not sealed, walking on grass. These are all ways that you can reground and discharge some of the, let's call it negative energy, the negative electricity that you get from your cell phones, from all electronics, from stress, lots of things. Okay. Let's think of it that way, as like an electrical charge. You're going to go and it's going to reboot you by touching the earth, because the earth is going to ground you. For the electricians out there, it's a really easy concept to understand. If you don't have any idea how electricity works, just trust me. Okay. So there you have 4 elements. Water, think like the ocean. You're like the ocean inside. Got to stay hydrated. Okay. That's what's going to help that ebb and flow go. Air, just like the air around us, we want to take it in, filter it through our lungs. Let's go. Deep breath through the nose. Exhale through the mouth. Breathe. That's your air. Same. Fire, that big fireball in the sky. Sunlight, we want to get it on us. I'm not saying go to a tanning bed. I'm not saying lay out in the sun for 6-8 hours a day. This needs to be done in a conscientious way. But early in the morning when the sun's coming up, and late in the afternoon, evening when the sun's going down, these are prime times where you're not going to get overheated, and you'll be able to reap the benefits of this massive power plant that powers basically our world, right? And then earthing, grounding, getting your feet out on the ground, grass, beach, pavement if you have to, dirt, unsealed pavement. But if that helps, it's very similar to the stable table. There's the 4 elements that we're focused on. They're very similar to my stable table. You're hydrating, you're staying moving, you're eating well, and you're sleeping well. These 4 legs of the stable table are almost results of engaging with these 4 wonders of nature, if you will. Hydration's the only one that really is so easy to get started. There's no reason if you're able to hear or see me on this podcast right now, you probably have access to pretty decent drinking water. Not the best, but pretty decent. And you can upgrade as you move through your journey. Once you know more, you can do more, you can be more, you can have more, and then rinse and repeat. I know sometimes it's tempting to want everything to be chill, like to not have ups and downs in life. It's just not natural. Once we realize and can take control and we're accountable for what ebbs and flows look like in our life, it's very empowering. It allows you to have agency over your life, and to see that those ebbs and flows, while they're not controllable, so to speak, they are consistent and they are dependable. And I think what most people that are experiencing a little too much drama, a little too much ebb or a little too much flow in their life in relation to ebb and flow, I think it's because it's out of sequence, it's out of integration, it's out of balance. So if we focus on these basics, water, air, fire, earth, if we focus on these basics, hydration, movement, nutrition, sleep, if we focus on the basics, once those are established, you will see the undulation, the ebbs and flows start to balance as well. But you are in charge of the spikes and the dips in your life. You're in charge of the spikes and the dips in your blood glucose. You are responsible for the spikes and the dips in the drama in your life. You're responsible for the spikes and the dips in cash flow, and the spikes and the dips in happiness, in the spikes and the dips of progress. You getting what I'm putting down here? You picking it up? You're responsible. You're at cause. You have complete control over how this looks, as far as how it feels, as far as how much you can embrace and how far you can take it. You're in charge of this basic level. You get that on track and your life is going to improve 100-fold. And then there's always more to do. You're not done then, but that's where to begin. If you're lost, if you're looking for how you can improve your life in simple, in sweet, but in profound ways, back to the basics. Keep it simple, sister. Stable table, elements. Look for a guiding blueprint anywhere and you will find it. It's not this or that, it's both. Stay curious, keep looking for what works for you. And if you're struggling and you want some guidance, it's free. Send an inquiry to the text line 206-483-2960. If you can text in the US, that number is free to text, and to join the text community is completely free. There's not a charge to you in any way, shape, or form. You have no excuse. If anything in your life is not working to the way that you'd like it, then you need to do something different. Text the word yes to 206-483-2960. They are responded to in a timely fashion by myself personally. If you want any more resources, please just reach out. I have a long running list of any and every amazing resource that you could want or need in every category of what you're looking to improve in life. Give me a shout. Let me be your go-to person. I will save you years and years, decades perhaps, of struggle, frustration, and pain by just pointing you in the right direction straight out the gate. Again, appreciate your time. Thanks so much for listening. If you got any value out of this at all, please consider sharing it with a friend or family member you think also may find value in it. Altruistically, I want you to have the best possible life you can have. I'm not going to hammer or shove a sales pitch down your throat. I have nothing to sell you. You accept what I have to sell you is that there is a better life waiting for you, a fuller life, a richer life that includes all the things that you want now and probably the things that you have, and includes so much more if you just look for it. Be open, be curious, and until next time, be awesome. Thank you so much for listening today. If you feel any part of this episode resonated with you, then please consider sharing it with a friend who may also find value in it. And remember to hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. And before you go, did you know we have a fantastic free text community? If you want more bite-sized health hacks and reminders delivered directly to your phone, absolutely free, then text keyword YES to 206-483-2960. Again, that's keyword YES to 206-483-2960. And we'll see you on the inside.